We have some major market dips in the Nashville market year over year. And then we also have some markets that are doing extremely well right now. What in sweet tarnation is going on? There's a lot to talk about, and I was going to do a short market update video, but I just don't think we can do that today because we have mortgage rates to go over, which I'm not a lender, so I'm not an expert here, but we're going to talk about a little bit. We have some major market dips in the Nashville market year over year. And then we also have some markets that are doing extremely well right now. And so I wanted to touch on all these things and we'll just jump right into it. So I got to be honest with y'all, I fell into a headline trap the other day, and I posted a really short Instagram video about how interest rates dropped on Friday, and if you've been sitting on the fence, now might be a good time. And so, while that was true, we saw the lowest rates on Friday that we've seen since I think it was like 5 months prior, but we've already jumped back up. But I say that with a little bit of a caveat here. So if you look, we fell to 6.6 by close of day on the 4th, and we're back up to 6.85 right now. But I want you to check this out. A year ago, so we're at 6.85 right now. A year ago, we were at 7.3, and by the end of April, we are at a 7.5% interest rate. Guys, from a year ago, we are still down considerably, and interest rates have held steady. There was so much fluctuation last year. And so this year, look how steady we've been really since the beginning of April, or sorry, since the beginning of March. And obviously, with these tariffs, there's a little bit of unknown here, but we're just going to have to monitor that and see. But we are still at lower levels than a year ago. So the key point here with interest rates is you need to buy when you're ready to buy. And then when you're comfortable making the payment at whatever rate that you lock in at, that's a good indication that, hey, that's a good property for you. Because will we refinance in the future? Maybe. If rates go up, you're already locked in at a lower rate. So it's your timing, it's your budget. That's the important thing. But we're going to talk a little bit about house prices and all that good stuff. Now, when we look at housing prices, I'm going to look at several different markets, and we're going to touch on what the pricing trends have been, and then what we're seeing year over year. And the county that we're first going to start with is Davidson County. All right, so Davidson County, seeing a pretty flat line here with the amount of new listings year over year. And you can see the trend. We've actually had more listings than March of 2023, and then 2024, and then 2025 is pretty much on the same level, slightly down. New under contract inventory. So the amount of listings that went under contract in the month of March was pretty flat, y'all, up 1%. Call it flat. Over 2023, but flat with last year. So demand is staying relatively normal year over year. Our active inventory is way up. So the total amount of inventory that we have active on the market by the end of March in Davidson County was up almost 30%. Under contract inventory, so the total amount of under contract inventory is down. So we're down over last year and we're way down over March of 2023, so down 8%. Our total inventory is up. Closings down 4%. So you see we've kind of been on a downward track here. Now, closings in general, though, if you look at closings on our timeline here, we've started to see a little bit more closings month over month. So we're slightly down from last year, but we are starting to come back, and we'll see what this spring has in store with everything going on. Sales price. This is probably one of the biggest adjustments I've seen total in Davidson County on sales price, down 7%. We're still above on average the March of 2023 numbers, but we are down last year. And if we look at timeline here, seeing a decrease over 2024, and now we're really starting to level out. So January, February, and March, a little bit of a downward trend here, but I would say slightly flat. And if I go back out here to a 3-year, we're going to pay really attention to the past 2 years. But you can see we've been relatively flat the past 2 years with the average sales price. Last year we had a bump here, but we've leveled back out at kind of our September, even July 2023 numbers. So we are starting to see a leveling off in pricing here. Same thing with the median sales price here, barely above March of 23, down from 24. And I think your timeline is going to reflect the same thing here. Um, we saw this bump in March of 2024, all the way, through the summer here. We saw a dip and then kind of back. I don't like days on market data with real tracks because as you're seeing, we're taking some listings off market, we're putting them back on, and it doesn't take into account the amount of days that that canceled listing had before it sold when they relisted. So I think this 34 days is not a great number to benchmark off of. I think we're probably closer to 60 days on market, maybe a little bit more. Average list price is down, and then our month supply of inventory, we have jumped up to 4.2 months supply of inventory on the market. So guys, Davidson County, we're starting to see it a little bit. Flattening of pricing, longer days on market. It's starting to price correct a little bit. It's not falling out. And we're going to talk a little bit about price fallout later. But that's just where we are right now. That's what we're seeing. So that was Davidson County. Now let's hop over to Williamson County, which is, Brentwood, Franklin, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, Fairview. We're going to go look at those numbers as well. One of the wealthier counties in the nation, and one that a lot of people are flocking to. So new listings, again, we're seeing an increase in new listings in Williamson County. That's kind of been the trend year over year. And you can see these past 3 years, we've just steadily grown in new listings. Under contract inventory. So new under contract inventory was up last month by 11%. So Williamson County is really continuing to ramp. If we look at the timeline here on new under contract, you can see that we've seen just a lot of activity in Williamson County, especially from December to now, a steady climb. In fact, we're starting to get back to the levels. That was April of last year. So March last year, April. I think we're going to see that surpass April, even with everything going on. Active inventory. So the amount of active inventory that we have is up to 17%, up 17% to 977 active listings. You can see that steadily increasing. More options. More options is good. Our total under contract inventory is down 17%. Total inventory flat. Pretty flat like over the past 3 years for in the month of March. Closings, the amount of closings we had were up 8% over last year, slightly down from March of 2023. Sales price average, flat. Look at that, over 24 to 25 in March, and we're still up over 2023. Median sales price down a little bit from March of last year and still over March of 2023. Again, days on market, don't like that data. Average list price is flat, and then our month supply is still hanging around 3.5 months. So nothing crazy to write home about. Now, going back to sales price, if we go back to the timeline here, again, seeing the kind of the same thing with Davidson County, although we've plateaued, I'd say more over the last year in Williamson. We're still seeing considerable growth over 2023. So a little bit different than Davidson County, but a little bit 1 year of kind of more stagnant home sale prices here. So Williamson County, a little bit different. We're still seeing some great demand in Williamson County, a steadying of prices over the past year, and kind of the same month supply, hovering around the same month supply. So not seeing the amount of accumulation that I still thought we would see. But what about some of the other counties that I'm seeing some massive growth in, like Wilson County? All right, Wilson County, Mount Juliet, Lebanon, you're on fire right now and have been. So new listings, we are up 9%. So up over last year, up over March of 2023. Look at this new under contract volume, up 13% over last year. 23 and 24 flat in Wilson County for new under contracts in March this year, up 12.5%. The amount of active inventory we have, you have a lot more options here, up 28%. And then our total under contract inventory is up 13%. That's up over March of 2023 as well. Total inventory up, and look at this, closings up 9%. So we saw a pretty flat closing trajectory over March 23 and March 24. March 2025, we are up. And if I go to the timeline here for closings, you can see we saw a dip, and again, climbing out of some of the seasonality, but we're starting to see a rise in the amount of closings that we have. I would bet if we go to this under contract inventory as well, seeing the same path here. So starting to see an increase of new under contracts and demand going into this year. Now, here's something I want to talk about. Look at the average sales price in Wilson County, up 12% for the average. So we saw a pretty steady pricing curve here all the way from 2022 to 2024. We've seen an increase, and then now, I think we're reaching new heights. And I think some of this is Williamson County is getting really unaffordable for a lot of people. And Wilson County is still in a great commuting highway on Highway 40. It's got close proximity. It's known for its great school system. And so a lot of people that were maybe looking at Williamson County, I think have started to go out to Wilson County now because it's a great area to live. And Lebanon is seeing a lot of growth as well. Commercially, headquarters are moving there. So both of those areas are on a quick path to growth. Median sales price up 5%. Check out this month supply. Right now, 3.12 is the lowest month supply of inventory that we've seen in the counties that we've looked at. So it's not a surprise to me that we're seeing so much growth in Wilson County. It's still more affordable than Williamson County. It's still close to downtown, close to the airport. There's a lot of commercial projects and shopping moving out, especially to Lebanon. So that is a pretty exciting market to watch as we move, into this new season. And then another one to watch is Rutherford County. So Smyrna, um, Murfreesboro. Let's see what those numbers are looking like. So Rutherford County, again, close proximity, more affordable, known for its school system as well. So new listings, we'll call it flat. So down 2% year over year, which is still down from March of 2023. Our under contract inventory is up 14%. Our new under contract inventory. So that's new demand, new under contracts in March, up 14% over 2023 levels, barely 7 contracts. Active inventory, though, is up 41%. You have more options. You have more options to shop in the market. Our total under contract inventory is down 11%. So the amount of total under contract inventory, so the carryover inventory from January, February to March is down 11%. Total inventory is up 14%, and our closings were down. I'll be interested to see once some of these new under contracts close out if the amount of closings that we have next month, or sorry, this month when the numbers are released, actually are increased greatly. So, as far as demand goes on our timeline, though, so for new under contracts, we're seeing the same curve. So we really saw a slump over the winter, starting to come out of it now. We'll see what levels we get back up to. See if we get up to these 2024 levels, 2023. We'll just have to wait and kind of see and monitor that. Um, Same thing with closings here. So closings January, February, March, we've just seen a steady rise here. Sales price up 4%. So we're up from 23 and 24. If you go to the timeline here for sales price, you can see that, we had a large, a high average sales price in 2022, and then it dropped from that. And then we've kind of been climbing back up to that 2022 peak level. And that's kind of where we've actually been hanging around. So a little bit above it, a little bit below it, but kind of right at this, we'll call it 490 is kind of where we've been hovering around. So Again, I think some seasonality there, some interest rate movement has spurred some of these peak months. Median sales price flat, slightly up over 2023, kind of that same trajectory as well. So saw high median sales price summer of 2022. We've been climbing back towards those levels, and we've just kind of been stagnant around there since March of last year. Now, there's two markets in Nashville that I'm having a little bit of a hard time understanding, and these are little tighter zip codes in Nashville that we're going to look at. One is Oak Hill and the other is Green Hills. And for Oak Hill, I'm going to use the zip code of 37220. Now, we're not dealing with large volume here. So, any sort of sale is going to affect percentages. But it's worth noting here, new listings in Oak Hill down 43% below March of 2023 levels. And if we look at the timeline here, we're flat with January, so kind of strolling along here at that new listing amount. New under contracts, we're down 7%, so we'll call it pretty flat over 23, 24, and 25. Active inventory is up quite a bit, 16%. So again, not dealing with large numbers here. So that's 20 to 24 listings. Total under contract inventory is down, way down from 23 and 24 levels. Total inventory is down. Closings, a third of what they were the past 2 years. Average sales price here, down 22%. Now, Oak Hill has some large homes that sell high price points. So this can be skewed if we didn't see any of those high dollar homes sell, but a 22% decrease in the average sales price is a little wild. Now, it's hard, again, it's hard to tell here from this chart, but we saw the same thing in January. So look, I mean, we were down 63% in January, popped back up in February, went back down in March. So if you're just looking at the year over year number, I don't think it paints a great picture, but look at this look at this midline here. I mean, we've kind of been hovering around the same price points in Oak Hill since March of 2022. We've seen some higher peaks. So again, in December, we saw an average sales price of 2.75. But again, that can be skewed by some large sales prices. And so we've really seen a stagnation in this market for the past few years in terms of overall average sales price. Now, if I go back here to the median sales price being down 28%, I think we need to flip back to our timeline here as well and see kind of the same thing. I would say that we're up in median a little bit in 24 and 25 than we were over, 2022 and 2023, but not seeing any significant movement or growth here in the last couple of years. This price is up 3% to 3,052,000. But this is something to talk about right here. The month supply, we are at a 7.5 month supply based upon the current demand. We got up to 10 months in October of 2024. And then now we're sitting at a 7.5 month supply, which is above, I would say, what we've been in Oak Hill, which is about, 5 to 6 months supply of inventory on average. Now, again, as I've been saying in this market, a few things could sell and this could drastically decrease just based upon the number of new listings that we have. So let's go to Green Hills real quick. So Green Hills, we are dealing with more volume than we are in Oak Hill. And again, Green Hills, an affluent neighborhood in Davidson County. I'm using zip code 37215, which covers the majority of Green Hills. And down 32% in new listings. So last year we had 65, this month 44, 62 in March of 2023. So definitely down. New under contract inventory is down over last year, but up over March of 2023. We're going to see actually an increase in new under contract inventory from December. So steadily rising. Last winter was pretty rough for sales. And so I think we're starting to climb out of that now. Tariffs, obviously, big unknown here, but we are starting to see some more demand coming up here. Active inventory, we are down 12%. So our amount of houses that are active on the market in total. Mm, our total under contract inventory is down considerably, so from 59 to 45, but we are up over March of 2023 levels. Again, if we go to the timeline here on our total under contract inventory, we're following the same line. Big dip. You've seen this almost in every market that we've looked at today. Big dip over last winter, and then starting to come back up. Closings. Our closings last month were down 40%. So from 37 closings last year to 22, even down below March of 2023 levels. We're not seeing as big of a climb with the amount of closings that we've had in Green Hills. Over last month, we're up 15%, but this is going to be interesting to me to see what we close out with the next couple months in Green Hills. It looks like the market over here is a little bit softer than what it's been in the past. Our sales price average was flat over last year. And if we go to the average sales price here, look at this. We have really kind of this 2 million mark. That's where we've been for a few years now. Median sales price down 20% paints a similar story. So kind of hanging out at this 1.6 mark for the past few years. Month supply. This is the biggest month supply I've seen in this zip code for a while, up 40%. We're hanging out at a 6 month supply now in Green Hills. We've been hanging around 6 months now for a little bit of time. Surprising, y'all. Starting to see a buildup of inventory in some of these higher end markets. So I think it's fun to look at all the numbers for all these markets, but there's a few key takeaways here. And I'm going to say this with a disclaimer. I don't have a crystal ball, guys. I wish I did. Um, there's a lot going on right now. We're all in the middle of it. And so we're just going to have to keep monitoring. But the first thing here is that we are seeing a higher consistent inventory level across all markets. And that is good for the buyer. We have more options that you can look at before you make a purchase. The amount of new listings that we're seeing come to the market is lower. So the inventory that we have is staying on market longer, and the amount of people selling is still not at the levels that we're hoping it to see. I could see people jumping back into the market if the interest rates gets pushed by all this market uncertainty. That is still yet to be determined. And there's one thing here, and I get this all the time, but it's that people are waiting for the market to bottom out, for housing to just go down by 20%. And listen, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but if we're looking at the trajectory of prices, we are seeing a stable and flat appreciation. And I think we're going to see that through the continuation of this year. I really don't think we're going to see a bottoming out of sales prices here because majority of people have a lot of equity in their homes and they're just not going to move if they don't have to move. And defaults are really low. So um, that is something to think about. Like if you're going to keep waiting for the market to drop out, I just don't think it's going to happen. Now, a year from now, 6 months from now, if we go down 10, 15%, I'll eat my words, market. But I just looking at the history, looking at how interest rates right now are 6.8 and they used to be 8%, 7.5, and we haven't seen a big reset in pricing. It's been good for the market because pricing has leveled out. We have more options. We have a flatter pricing curve. That's what we want. I mean, I think we're really seeing a balanced market right now. I really don't think it's a complete buyer's market, and I don't think it's a complete seller's market. I think that people are working together a little bit better and finding common ground. And I think you can get deals done. You have to be open to negotiation. You have to be open to be a little creative, but hey, it's out there for both people. Um, so goes my short video. But there you go. Try to not get all caught up in the headlines. I tell my team the same thing with interest rates. And sometimes, I get caught up in it too. I'm in this world every day. But when you look at the trends, when you look at the data, interest rates are down over last year and the year before. Um, Prices are remaining steady. Demand is remaining steady and actually really high in some other markets surrounding us, like Wilson County. And we're just heading into a more balanced market. So There's my synopsis. If you have any questions, if you want me to run a neighborhood report for you or a particular area, holler at me and I'll do it. Thanks.